Strategy.
Yeah, so there's a JD strategy or something.
We begin today by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of Woolstock Group. These territories are covered by treaties of peace and friendship of the Woolstock people first signed with the British Crown in 1725. I now call our meeting to order. Attendance has been taken. Approved of the agenda.
Also moved.
Any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question first.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Are there any conflict of interest for disclosure this evening? We'll move to number 5, consent agenda. A, approval of the minutes, October 27th, 2025, November 4th, 2025. B, Community Development Committee report. C, Economic Expansion Committee report. D, Oversight Committee report. E, information only, third quarter tender report.
CPR.
Seconder, Bob Powell, Almato.
Any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question please.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Thank you. Move on now to number 7, presentation effectiveness review report, Jacques Dubé. Jacques Dubé, welcome, and you're with JD Strategy. Now, I'm sure that staff has talked to you ahead of time and told you that you have a limited amount of time to speak tonight.
No, but I think I'll use the John Smith's rule of speaking
Let you
in that
know,
regard.
because we have a schedule tonight, so I don't think we'll go to 7:45, but if we start to go near there, then that's so that your time is limited.
Not a
So
problem.
welcome, the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here today and engaging my services in terms of producing this report. This report reviews the Capital Region Service Commission's effectiveness and ability to deliver on its services. The goal is to evaluate progress to date, ensure alignment between strategy and execution, and recommend improvements. We could go to slide 3. Great, thank you. So the review examined progress on 6 regional service mandates, namely economic development and the newly mandated services of tourism promotion, community development, regional transportation, regional sport, cultural and recreational infrastructure, cost sharing, and public safety. So the review also assessed each service area's progress against planned goals and looks at the alignment of committees to strategic priorities. It takes into account or consideration direction provided by the board as well as strategic priorities developed over the last few years. Of course, all relevant Capital Region Service Commission strategies, plans, board and committee meeting minutes, and consultants' reports since 2022 were read and considered for purposes of the CRSC's effectiveness review. The review examined whether performance targets were defined for strategic goals, how progress is monitored and reported. The review also identifies gaps and suggests improvements so that the CRSC can objectively measure its success. So new CRSC mandates were checked against the strategic plans, objectives, and board direction to ensure they align with the intended goals. The review is intended to assist the CEO with evaluating how far the organization has come in executing its legislated mandate in the 2023-2028 strategic plan and what adjustments are needed. This review also supports the Commission, governance side of the shop, in sharpening its focus, improving coordination, and enhancing accountability as it continues to serve the region's needs. Slide 4, please. So across all 6 mandated service areas, the CRSC has made measurable progress consistent with its 2023-2028 strategic plan. The KPI dashboard on pages 4 and 5 of the report summarizes service area outcomes. And so committees are functioning and aligned with board direction, partnerships are strong, and programs are producing results. However, areas for improvement include strengthening investment attraction capacity within economic development, adopting outcome-based balanced scorecards for tourism and community development, and expanding reporting on public safety and infrastructure outcomes. So the CRSC is positioned to consolidate its early progress into a more accountable outcome-driven regional governance model. When I say outcome, I mean that what I found in terms of some of your reporting is a lot of it is activity-based as opposed to outcome-based. So you're in a good position to consolidate that progress and move towards an outcome-driven regional governance model. So further, given the timing and limited information when the 2023-2028 CRSC strategic plan was adopted, recall, I think you were given 30 days to come up with a strategy. The CRSC should adopt an updated strategy as soon as possible, focusing on activities and outcomes it controls. Some of the outcomes or the measures in your current strategic plan are outside of your control as a commission, and you probably should avoid that. Slide 5, please. So we'll move right into some of the service areas. Economic development, of course, it's delivered through Ignite and overseen by the Economic Expansion Committee, and it is functioning as intended, what I found. Programs are in place to attract investment, to become investment ready, support workforce growth, and promote the region. So in terms of business growth and startups, over 500 full-time equivalent jobs created annually and 49 to 62 startups supported per year since 2022. Of course, the Business Builder and Merge programs are seen and I've discovered are quite effective tools. The workforce and newcomer integration, more than 5,500 newcomers supported between 2022 and 2024 with expanded integration programs, and strong partnerships. Risks remain around housing, employer readiness, and immigration policy shifts at the federal and provincial levels. In terms of investment attraction, 4 international firms located in the region since 2022. Vision 2030 Summit embedded sectoral priorities. The promotion is strong, but dedicated lead generation capacity is limited and reliant on the province. In terms of population growth, the capital region recorded 2.7% growth in 2024, exceeding provincial averages, one of the fastest growing areas in New Brunswick for sure. Overall, Ignite is delivering measurable results and aligning with CRSC strategic objectives, though additional resourcing for investment attraction and stronger integration with housing, healthcare priorities is recommended. The CRSC can choose to leave investment attraction to the province as it is their responsibility. But we recommend that Ignite play a limited role in that function too, beyond investment readiness, focusing on the knowledge economy and creative industries, leaving defense and natural resources to the province to lead, with Ignite supporting efforts where they can. Next slide, please. In relation to tourism promotion, the Fredericton Capital Region Tourism, operating as a regional destination marketing organization, under an MOU, has delivered strong results. So visitor spending reached $405 million in 2024, a 16.8% year-over-year increase, with 926,000 visitors and record hotel room sales. Major events such as the PGA Tour Americas at Mactaquac and the Pan Am Black Bass Tournament in Nakawik were successfully hosted, generating solid economic returns for the region. Of course, the FRCT partnerships with airlines and municipalities have supported a fragile but growing air access service. The Economic Expansion Committee has effectively aligned oversight, but accountability would be strengthened by adopting a balanced scorecard with April to October reporting. Slide 7, please. In community development, the Community Development Committee has established a coherent regional vision with initiatives in housing, poverty reduction, and social inclusion. Achievements include hosting nonprofit collaboration events and training through Tamarack Institute, advancing food security mapping and social connector initiatives, active partnership with the Economic and Social Inclusion Corporation and the Regional Resiliency Team, aligning regional actions with provincial poverty reduction strategies. The CDC is well aligned with the CRSC strategic plan, though outcome based performance tracking on measures under the direct control of the Capital Region Service Commission should be undertaken, as opposed to activity-based reporting. Pages 15 and 16 of the report include an outcome-based KPI scorecard and KPI dashboard mockup for your consideration. Slide 8, please. Regional transportation, the Community Development Committee is advancing regional-wide transportation study to identify needs and propose solutions. Volunteer driver services have expanded across multiple municipalities, supported by provincial funding. Alignment to strategic goals is strong, though service remains in formative stages pending the study results. Slide 9, please. The public is, sorry, I think we've got to skip over a slide. We go to public safety first. There we go. So in terms of public safety, the Public Safety Committee is meeting regularly and hosting forums with the RCMP, fire services throughout the region, New Brunswick Power, and the Department of Justice and Public Safety. Priorities include municipal emergency management templates and regional RCMP priority setting. Progress aligns with the CRSC plan, although outcome-based indicators under the direct control of the CRSC are needed. What I mean by that is that, in terms of crime statistics, the CRSC does not control crime statistics, does not influence crime statistics necessarily. Okay, so I think you need to start looking at your outcome-based indicators as opposed to stuff that other people are responsible to do. Let's go to the slide on regional infrastructure and recreation. So work has begun on cost-sharing discussions for facilities such as the Aquatic Center and in identifying regional infrastructure priorities. Recreation, sport, and cultural infrastructure initiatives are being mapped, though shared governance on funding remains a challenge. Governance and cost sharing will likely be a discussion point if the CRSC determines that it wants trail connectivity projects to proceed. Let's go to slide 11, which is the governance and risk constraints. While the CRSC has made solid progress in terms of delivering on its mandate, it does face some governance risks and constraints. Provincial cost-sharing formulas from 2022 are perceived as unfair by directors representing a significant portion of the region's population and tax base. So should the CRSC work with its members to achieve a common position to advance to the province very soon in terms of cost-sharing formulas? So I think I think that composition is really important here. And of course, timing is of the essence, considering the province is currently reviewing the regional service commissions and is apparently reviewing municipal fiscal tools as well. Another financial risk to the CRSC and its members is that regional projects can face escalating costs that may undermine consensus among member municipal units. The creation of the regional service commissions has put a spotlight on the perceived urban-rural divide, a dynamic that precedes the creation of the CRSC by decades. So in the absence of agreed-upon service and cost equity principles, disengagement by member municipal units may emerge. That said, it is clear based on this review that when urban and rural work together, great things happen like your economic development and tourism outcomes and efforts, public safety and community development. For example, the major bass tournament in Nakawik would likely never have happened without close collaboration between the Commission, its partners like Frederick and Capital Region Tourism, and the town. Another governance risk is the potential board resistance to some committee recommendations. This highlights the need for clearer role delineation and more effective engagement and communication when developing the case for regional services. The CRSC has a sustainability risk to the extent that it has relied heavily on consultants, like me, to support its governance and service delivery efforts. The primary source of funding for that expertise has been the province, which could be reduced or eliminated as the RSCs mature. So as we all know, at the municipal finance world right now is under review. And the question then becomes, what's the sustainable model going forward, not only for the municipal units, but for the commissions? So sustaining, and of course, your sustainability risk is also reflected in the very lean staff complement that you have now. You're doing a lot with very few staff. The board and the CEO should work towards a more sustainable resource plan going forward. In conclusion, across all, in relation to the mandated service areas, the CRSC has made measurable progress consistent with the 2023-2028 strategic plan. The KPI dashboard on pages 4 and 5 illustrates proof of substantial service area outcomes that you've achieved as a group. Committees are functioning and aligned with board direction, partnerships are strong, and the programs are producing results. Areas of improvement: strengthening investment attraction capacity within economic development, adopting outcome-based balanced scorecards for tourism and community development, and expanding reporting on public safety and infrastructure outcomes. The CRSC is positioned to consolidate its early progress into a more accountable, outcome-driven regional governance model. Further, given the timing and limited information when the 2023-28 CRSC strategic plan was adopted, the CRSC should adopt an updated strategic plan as soon as possible, focusing on activities and outcomes it controls. So your current strategic plan has items there that you do not control. You probably want to avoid that in your own strategic plan. Slide 12, please. So in terms of governance recommendations, adopt an outcome-based balanced scorecards across all service areas, strengthen governance clarity and committee board alignment, making sure that the committees are acting on board mandates specifically, secure sustainable staffing and a funding model, advance intermunicipal equity policy discussions and transparency measures. And that's related to funding of various things, right? Endorse KPI frameworks for all mandates, launch an integrated reporting cycle, probably semi-annually, and of course, begin the strategic plan refresh. Slide 13, please. And we're going to get into the recommendations by service area. So on slide 13, I believe we have or 14, we have the economic development recommendations. So number 1, strengthen lead generation capacity with dedicated funding and staff. Advance outcome-based metrics beyond activity counts. Address workforce and housing gaps through stronger provincial federal alignment. Enhance rural engagement with sector-specific programming. Improve communications and public dashboards for transparency. Leverage trade barrier reductions and manage tariff risks by coordinating with ONB and intergovernmental affairs to ensure the capital region benefits from new trade flows. There is a move afoot nationally and across all provinces to reduce trade barriers. I used to be the deputy minister responsible for internal trade, and I can tell you it was probably one of the worst jobs I ever had. Today, because we couldn't make any progress. Today, there's progress being made on the internal trade file because of what's happening south of the border. We need to take advantage of that. Integrate economic development strategies with healthcare, workforce, and housing initiatives, and ensuring Ignite's efforts align with CRSC's community development mandate. Continue enhancing digital storytelling and regional promotion to sustain stakeholder confidence. Next slide, please. In relation to tourism promotion, in terms of governance and structure, approve a board-endorsed tourism balance scorecard with formal reporting cadence, i.e. April and October. Strategic alignment, make sure the Economic Expansion Committee confirms the region as a whole first directive to ensure the tourism accommodation levy and municipal asks do not overshadow regional goals. This really means thinking of the region as a whole first and not as constituent parts when applying the CRSC part of the regional tourism budget. Performance and accountability in partnership with Fredericton Capital Region Tourism formalize KPIs, including market performance, demand capture, sport meetings and conventions pipeline, product development, and air access. Partnerships, continuing leveraging tourism accommodation levy, provincial ministries, the airport and the airlines and municipalities, and formalize multi-year co-funding agreements with RDC, Opportunities New Brunswick, and Ignite, consistent with the Capital Regional Service Commission's tourism strategic plan. In terms of capacity, maintain Fredericton Capital Region Tourism as your delivery agent and using their capacity through the MOU, and ensure sustainable funding and Economic Expansion Committee oversight of staffing, resource, and needs in relation to tourism promotion. Next up is community development. So the recommendations there are to update the terms of reference, define the advisory forums, clarify membership. I understand in some of these advisory forums, we're getting upwards of 300 people attending, which is great. So a lot of engagement. I think you need to clarify who's there and what are they doing, and also strengthen the board orientation on community development. In terms of strategic alignment and under community development, link all the initiatives, deliverables, and expenditures to board-approved strategic objectives, right? Social community development and social development is a pretty heavy file, and can go off in various directions. So the board reading needs to make sure the committee and the group and the staff are working towards your objectives and your strategy. In terms of performance and accountability, implement the synergy study evaluation framework and restart the dashboard with outcome KPIs. And on pages 22 and 23 of the report, you'll see sample KPI scorecard and dashboard there in relation to community development that you may wish to consider as you move forward under the accountability file. In terms of partnerships, maintain contracts with Economic and Social Inclusion Corporation, the Regional Resiliency Team, and ignite and establish joint KPI-based reporting. Again, on KPIs, your partners can report on what they want, what they're going to produce. Same time, CRSC needs to report on what it does. Capacity, expand staff capacity or share positions to meet the scale of the mandate. Right now, I think you have about one senior person and one junior staffer working on community development under a very large mandate. So you need to look at two things. One is what's the mandate and what's the resourcing requirement to fulfill that mandate. Move over to this regional transportation, please. In relation to strategic realignment, clarify the Community Development Committee's role as regional transportation convener and funder versus direct service operator. I think there's been some confusion in the past around who's doing what to who on regional transportation. I believe that your role is more of a convener and funder as opposed to a direct service operator. Performance framework, approve an outcome-based KPI scorecard and report results quarterly to the board. And on page 27, I offer up a sample scorecard for your consideration. Cost sharing, commission, there should be probably a commission's option paper and a proposed 3-year phase funding formula in relation to this, to regional transportation. At some point, should projects emerge, you may need half or more FTE to manage procurements, agreements, and KPIs around regional transportation. It all depends on the scale and the scope of the work that you envisage. But at the end of the day, you have to manage, and you can only manage what you can measure. So at the end of the day, your existing staffing, you probably cannot take on more work in this area without a serious look at resourcing. In terms of the pilots, launch the rural workforce link using URR to get people living in rural areas to work and those living in urban to rural area work sites. And of course, B is to enhance take-up of transportation to access medical services via URR. And of course, in terms of enabling conditions, integrate land use and transportation planning, preparing cross-boundary MOUs. When I think about regional transportation, I think about it in terms of land use, right? So regional transportation is really a big component of land use. So what we have now in New Brunswick, we have regional service commissions, we have municipalities. Municipalities all have their own municipal development plan, right? And zoning bylaws, but there's not one regional transportation plan that's consistent with the land use. So that work is something that you need to consider going forward. So integrating the land use in transportation planning and working collaboratively across all the municipalities to ensure that there's one master regional transportation plan at some point in the piece, right? Regional sport and cultural and recreational infrastructure is next. On the Recommendations for 25 to 26, further develop cost sharing principles and policy, balancing population usage, tax base, and distance factors. I think you know what I'm referring to there, the issue of identifying what regional sport, cultural, and recreational infrastructure should be cost shared. Is there any new projects, those kinds of things. But in advance of all that, I think you need to come up with some principles balancing the population usage, tax base, and distance. It's clear to me that current cost sharing formulas are not widely supported. Adopt an annual intake and evaluation cycle for regional infrastructure projects with clear reporting to the board. Advance 2 pilot projects in 25-26, such as the Fredericton Nashwauk Trail pilot and the Blue Trail project implementation. Develop a regional capital forecast, align with municipal capital planning. That's assuming, of course, you have regional projects that you're controlling, right? And cost sharing. Introduce a regional infrastructure scorecard to track outcome-based KPIs in terms of efficiency, equity, and affordability. And a draft outcome-based KPI scorecard is on page 31 of the report for your consideration. And of course, strengthen committee onboarding to reinforce terms of reference and clarify vis-a-vis the board. So there will be a democratic event next May in New Brunswick, and I'm sure there'll be some changes at some level across the municipality. So, there's going to be some onboarding work that's going to have to happen, and to make sure that everybody's on the same page in terms of the role of commission versus role of municipalities, role of the province, etc. Slide 19, I think, is public safety. In terms of strategic realignment, update the strategic plan to clarify the CRSC's role as convener and information sharer, not the service provider, assuming that you agree with that recommendation. Performance framework, report a KPI scorecard to the board 3 times annually using controllable indicators. Again, indicators that you control as commission. And a sample KPI scorecard is on page 35 of the report for your consideration. Strengthen the forum. There is a forum around public safety. Formalize 3 regional forums per year with RCMP, NBEMO, Department of Justice, Ambulance New Brunswick, fire chiefs, municipal police force, First Nation reps, etc. In terms of emergency readiness support, finalize and distribute the EMO plan template currently underway and develop tabletop kits and propose an annual training cycle. That shouldn't be too onerous. New Brunswick EMO and most municipalities have these templates anyway. And so, a common kit should not be very difficult to put together in terms of, templates and stuff like that. Risk profile development, encourage development of a regional threats risk vulnerability scan with NBEMO and Department of Justice and Public Safety as the lead. I don't think the commission should be doing that. I think the province, and through NBEMO, should be doing the regional threats and risk and vulnerability scan. They have the expertise on their staff right now, but the CRSC can act as a convener and then information disseminator to the commission and the member municipalities. So in conclusion, the CRSC's Safety Committee has successfully evolved as a collaborative forum that builds relationships and improves regional awareness among public safety stakeholders. To strengthen its effectiveness and accountability, the CRSC should realign the strategic mandate, adopt measurable KPIs, and formalize its reporting structure. So overall, Madam Chair, you have made measurable progress consistent with the 23-28 strategic plan as illustrated by the report. I want to thank the board and the CEO and his team for the opportunity to produce this report. And I appreciate the collaboration and collegiality I experienced in working with John and his team and his partners throughout the course of the review. It was a very good experience for me. I hope it was for them. And they were very generous with their time and forthcoming with information that I needed and requested to complete the assigned task. So thanks again, and I'm happy to answer any questions and receive any comments you may have.
Thank you. So any questions or comments around the table? Yeah, and I will, Director Fox, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just had a question on, was there any sort of assessment or thought given to the cost of implementing some of these recommendations?
No, I would defer to John. The scope of the review did not include assessing budget or costing of any of this stuff, no. But I would defer to John on any matters of financial. Yeah, it's not part of the scope.
Through you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Jacques and Director Fox for the question. With that, we've been meeting consistently, and recently your senior team has here at the Capital Region Service Commission has met with the Department of Environment and Local Government. And also a couple of weeks ago, all of the CEOs in the province and the board chairs from around the province met here in the capital region for a couple of days of meetings with the province. And part of that was with the province and several departments. And one of the things that we were talking about is real partnership at the table. Where do we find that real partnership? If you want us to do these things, we need to know that we have real and true partners. The government, in all fairness, has been a good partner, as we know, through RSSF. They've embedded that in legislation. It's in regulation as well. The formula, we know what we're getting. We know what we have to work with on that front. Now we have to start to develop projects that will attract even further funding. So at the CEO and board chair meetings, we had updates from such entities as working with post-secondary education, training and labor, working NB, the regional service or the Regional Development Corporation, and Opportunities New Brunswick. And so we've had a number of meetings, and we've also raised the issue at that time with Minister Kennedy and Minister Miles, and we're continuing to raise those issues as we move forward. So we're cognizant of the funding issues. We're cognizant of the position that the municipalities are in and that the communities are in. And we take that serious, and we keep trying to advance that every time we meet. And it's one of the key takeaways. Jacques and I did talk about that during the study report or during the study period, and certainly something we're advancing at all levels whenever we can. So, thank you.
Thank you. So, no questions around the table or comments? No. Well, Jacques Dubé, thank you very much for doing the presentation tonight, and you were well within your time. We do appreciate that. We appreciate the work, and also being here tonight to present to the board. So thank you very much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a great evening, everyone.
You too. Thank you. So move on now to staff report, the CEO report. John Smith, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Number of things on the go tonight, and I will I'll try not to struggle with brevity tonight and get you through this quick, but we do have a few things on here that are fairly significant and important. The Community Promotional Funding Program, the COO, myself, the CFO, and if you remember through the to remind the board members and our Economic Development Coordinator and our Community Development Coordinator have met recently. Lise was unavailable for the meeting, but we have received a lot of interest. The process closed on the 14th. And in terms of information for you on the results of the applications this evening, unfortunately, last week I was out of the office a lot at a number of functions representing the CRSC. And we'll have the results out to everybody probably in the next 5 to 7 days. And we're going to be meeting Thursday again, just to ensure that what we are going to, how we're going to allocate that 50,000 is conveyed to the members first, and then to the communities that are receiving the funding. So just want to keep you up to date on that. The RSC Network Fall Forum. The theme was relationship building, when I referenced a few moments ago. And on November 12th, 13th, and 14th, the CEOs and board chairs from around the province met. And we thank the members who attended the reception that was hosted by Ignite. It was well attended. The highlight of the meeting was when the CEOs and the chairs asked Minister Kennedy to reiterate his vision of the review. He responded by stating that the RSC model is not going away, and that this is a review to make the model stronger and better, recognizing that each RSC has different needs moving forward. Something that's kind of thematic, and we heard about that in Jacques' study here this evening, or his report. During the forum, there are also meetings with Minister Miles, the municipal associations, and provincial departments. The municipal associations will be providing training and orientation with respect to the upcoming municipal elections. And during that time, we also mentioned efforts throughout the region that are happening, such as Director Erickson had raised about the city was making to provide potential candidates with a week in the life of an elected councillor to give them an actual lesson on what that's like. I think, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I'll ask Director Erickson. I believe I have that right, sir.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it was very well received and very positive. And there were other comments made about working with the Capital Region Service Commission and various communities as well. Community development meeting with the Chief Electoral Officer, and I'll hand out some goodies for you tonight. If we can hand those out on the other side. Hand them down. What you'll find in there, the Chief Electoral Officer, Kim Poffenroth, and her team presented a very candid look at municipal turnout in the province, and look at voting trends, that i.e. when there is a race for a seat, voter turnout is much higher. Sometimes it's quite low. She and her office will be leading awareness campaigns with respect to election and key dates associated with the election as well. And we have information packages for you that we just handed out. These are something for each of you for your offices. Becoming a district education council candidate, local government election candidate, local government both, and it's just a quick infographic of how it all works and what you can do. If you want more of these, just let us know, and Elections MD will certainly send as many as you'd like up to your community. And it was a very positive meeting, and I have to say, I've known Ms. Poffenroth for quite some time, since we're probably children, and she did an excellent job, and she was very candid. She didn't hold anything back. I don't think Director Plessy, I'm saying anything out of school during that meeting. She was pretty forthright about everything. So if you want a good view, go back to that meeting and see her presentation. We've had a few inquiries even as of today on the meeting with the RSC review team. And so the RSC review team the meeting is for December 4th, which is Thursday of this week. The meeting will be held here at the office and in this office. And the day will unfold as follows. 10 to 11:30 will be a meeting with myself. 11:30 to 1:30 is a meeting with the board. Lunch will be served and a virtual option will be provided if necessary. We would strongly encourage you, if you could, to come in person. Even if you can't stay for the whole thing, please come. And from 1:30 to 4, there's going to be a meeting with the senior management team of the RSC. So they want to pack it all into one day, and we accommodated, and we'll be here on site. The CRSC regional meeting with respect to recruitment, physician recruitment. We had that meeting on Friday morning at the convention center. It was well attended. We had several of our directors there, probably about half of the board. And it was a very good conversation. It was frank and was open. It was candid. May not have been all the answers that we wanted it to be, but we had a very honest, candid conversation. And Stiletto will do a report for us and look at that roadmap of how we continue to work together moving forward. And I think that's going to be the key, is how we do that moving forward together. And there's certainly opportunities, and I don't want to miss any of those opportunities for the region as well. Tonight, we've got a little bigger one here as my last part of my report before we go into closed session. And that's going to be informing the board of a partnership with the Oromocto and Area Food Bank. So the Oromocto and Area Food Bank works with all food banks in our region, both directly and indirectly. And in discussions with the executive director, Jane Buckley, we found a path forward to benefit the entire region and make a difference in the lives of many in need. The investment will allow us to provide refrigeration and freezer capacity to scale up to an additional 12,000 meals per year in the region, and to provide reliable transportation when food sources are available and a need to be picked up and delivered. To support for greater transportation of reclaimed food and donations from local businesses will allow all food banks to not miss out on opportunities such as a recent incident where they missed out on 6 pallets of food due to unreliable transportation. They had no way to get it to the office, and these things have to be picked up in a proper and responsible manner. And they were unable to do that. You can't just run over with your car and throw it all in the back. They got to be able to have control over what is picked up and what is delivered. And so anyway, we've done some really good work there with them, and they do great work. So how does this fit into our strategy, our social mandate, and our community development mandate? It increases the food bank's capacity to provide consistent nutrition food to families. It's directly supporting the Overcoming Poverty Together For's goals of ensuring all New Brunswickers have reliable access to healthy food, helps stabilize a key community food asset by reducing food insecurity pressures on vulnerable households in urban and rural areas. It supports community-driven solutions and aligns with OPT's 4's emphasis on community-led initiatives by empowering a locally governed food bank that understands regional needs, enhances collaboration with schools, shelters, community kitchens, and service organizations, core principles of OTP 4's community engagement approach. It will be improving access to nutritious food because it enables expansion of fresh food programs, produce, dairy, and protein, meeting OPT's 4 focus on improving dietary quality for low-income residents, supports the development of our enhanced programs such as home delivery, mobile food distributions, and or culturally appropriate food offerings. It helps us build long-term sustainability, provides financial stability that can be leveraged towards infrastructure upgrades. And these are for commercial freezers and commercial refrigeration. And it's consistent again with OPT 4's calls for strengthened food system infrastructure. It allows the food bank to invest in strategic planning, volunteer coordination, and partnerships important for sustainability, long-term poverty reduction. Reducing economic barriers directly lowers out-of-pocket food expenses for low-income families, aligning with objectives of reducing cost burdens that contribute to poverty. Helps mitigate pressures caused by inflation, rising food cost, and housing insecurity, key factors highlighted in OPT 4 as drivers of the food insecurity. Enhancing dignity and social inclusion, and these are all parts of the OPT 4 that we've contracted with. Brett, in his role as COO, oversees a lot of this with the community development team, and it enhances the dignity and social inclusion by supporting programs that promote dignified access to food, choice-based pantries, nutritional education, community gardens, reflecting OPT's 4 commitment to treating individuals with respect and full social participation. And Madam Chair, on that, through this, the Oromocto and Area Food Bank is a hub for the region. They work with every food bank in the region, directly and indirectly. They work with the schools in the region, and they also have food safety trained certified volunteers to cook the food and do it. So it helps with their freeze-dried or their freezer backpack programs that they send food home on the weekends with children so that they know that they have access to nutritious foods. This isn't just for the children of the family, it's for the whole family. And so it's quite a thing. Jane and her team also have invited us down when everything's in place. She'd like to invite the directors all out. Maybe even for a meal at lunchtime or something, but also to go down and see the place and go down and see what the investment can do and how it can change and help the lives of others. So I just wanted to inform you of that this evening, and it fits within our budget, within our scope, and we leveraged a lot of government funding to do that. The members share roughly, I'll say runs around 20%, I think, Mary Kay, 22%. And that's about it. We leverage the rest through others. So we're going to make a difference. And I think that's the big key. And coming into Christmas, we see the Salvation Army out, we see the food pantries out, we see people looking, and we know that it's a problem. And tonight, you, through your leadership, our stewardship and a lot of stewardship through Brett and Mary Kay and their roles enable us to be able to help significantly and really reach out. And That inspiration came from each of you, and it came from knowing the region, came from our commitments of what we said we would do and how we would try to help. We've been able to do it in budget, keep on budget, and be able to make a difference. So I don't know, Madam Chair, if anyone has any questions. Richard?
Question. Or, so maybe I wasn't listening well. I'm not sure what we're doing.
So we're assisting with the purchase of a freezer unit, a commercial freezer unit, commercial refrigeration unit, and helping them with a transportation option on their cube van in order to be able to put that into play.
Okay. That's what I missed in the whole presentation.
sorry.
And I think,
How much money?
Director Powell, did you have something first?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and then we're in there.
I mean, it's Ormocton area, which includes, probably right from Chipman, Creighton Junction, Restaurant, all the outlying communities. And, they support a lot of people and
In the city.
and the city,
They
yeah,
work in partnership.
because they work with Moncton, Woodstock and, Fredericton. They're food banks, so they're intertwined. And Jane, she runs a tight ship and she knows what she's doing. And I've known her for many years and she is a qualified for the job, I tell you that.
Thank you. Okay, Director Sharp.
Just a question, OPT force.
Overcoming Poverty Together,
Version 4.
version 4. Sorry. Should I give you the acronym, sorry?
Director.
You got the same question I have.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be greatly interested in hearing both what dollar figures involved and why it wasn't expressly in the report.
Well, I guess, Madam Chair, to through you to the directors. Within that, at this point in the juncture, it was under administrative purview because it touches all of the approvals that the board has given on our work plan under community development. We've entered into a contractual agreement with the Economic and Social Inclusion Corporation, which also talks about overcoming poverty together, talks about food security, talks about food stability in homes. All of these have led to this point of what can we do to move that marker forward. Within that, it's under the administrative purview of myself. And I checked that out with our senior team. And we had we felt that this was certainly something that checked off, I believe, everything that we said we were going to do as a board and through the Community Development Committee to help reduce, in terms of food insecurity and increase food security.
Okay, I think that's great.
Point of order, Madam Chair, asked how much.
Oh, sorry.
None of that went to how much. You
Oh,
need
sorry.
to be able to say how much
Yeah,
when you walk into a store to buy these things.
yes,
I would
yeah.
appreciate the
No.
same courtesy.
Oh, I apologize, through you, Madam Chair. I apologize, Director Erickson. I misunderstood the question. The amount is approximately about $100,000.
Split.
Yeah.
It's not all.
No, we're in for about 22% of that, and that fits well within our budget. And we're able to leverage the other funds to make it happen.
I like 78 cents on.
Sorry, I apologize if I didn't hear the question properly, so.
My only confusion in it is exactly what the partnership in all the areas are. Like the word partnership could mean just about anything. And so in future, I'd actually like to understand better what does it mean if you're saying you're partnering with all the areas? Are they physically partnering with it where they get 10 potatoes and this guy gets 2 and this guy gets 1 and this guy gets 1, or does it mean that when they have a surplus, they reach out to these areas and say, hey, we got a surplus and we're trying to help you? Or what does that partnership mean? Because everybody has a partnership in some way.
So the partnership that we're doing is in the essential, trying to help with the capacity and the transportation capacity. That trickles down into the region, through you, Madam Chair, Director Nicklin. That trickles down into the fact that they work with every food bank in our region, either directly or indirectly. So when they come in, if there's a need in an area, they put the word out and they all chip in and they help and they get food in that area. They get resources in that area to where they have to be. The Oromocto and Area Food Bank have a commercial kitchen that they are able to do the vacuum sealed foods, so they're able to freeze them, they're able to distribute them, they're able to hold them. But without the appropriate capacity and refrigeration and freezing, they're unable to increase their volume and their ability to distribute. So if there is food, they work, they work with the Fredericton Food Bank. If there's a need upriver, so we're heading up towards, we're going through Hanwell, Harvey, Naquit, Millville, maybe the upper end of Central York, in those areas, they distribute through there. They come out, they distribute all the way out to your area, Director Nicklin. They work with everyone. They work with the schools. They work with Cat's Kitchen. They work with Greener Village. They have that partnership with all of the food banks in the region.
So it should be simple enough to just go to my food bank and say, are you familiar with these people? And
They should be able to say, yes, we are.
That's all I was really looking for.
Speaking of Greener Village.
Yeah.
They have raised enough money to build a massive building for that
Mhm.
of food, so. If they're working together that way, or is it Greener Village just for the Fredericton area? I don't think so.
No,
Because I know the people that was on the committee to raise the money, so are we moving when that's gonna be built here in June? I think it's supposed to open. I think I was told that today, I think it was, yeah.
Hmm.
So it's a massive, again, they raised a good chunk of money to build it.
fantastic.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, working together and everything else and moving it forward, they need the 100,000 for the cooler and the thing. Great, do they have the space to put it?
Yeah.
And where they putting that?
The one in Oromocto, you
Yeah.
mean? Yes, they have the space and they'll be able to house that right on site.
So just second.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
nope. Dr. Sharp. Yeah.
It's like the chipmunks here. We are nice people. The food bank that serves the Harvey rural community is in Region 10. And, but it works with, it was my understanding that I never had heard the term the Oromocto food bank in my discussions with them. I had heard the Fredericton food bank in my discussions with the food bank in McAdam, which is where they are, and they receive 1% of what comes into Region 3, is it called, I believe? It's Region 3.
Yeah.
It's
the other.
They get 1% of that, if there's a pallet, they get right down. And it's a good working relationship. We're looking at it to find out how we can partner better with them, because it's a pretty tough service when you're in Longs Creek, at the highway scales, and you have got to go to McAdam to be served. So, and they would be told if they went to Fredericton that that's the situation. That's the way it works. It isn't like everyone comes into every place and gives what they want. There are approvals and all kinds of hoops to go through. Anyway. My question around all this is, so who would have done this if we didn't? Are we taking on a role that belongs to the province? Because the province does an incredible amount of funding there. I know you're doing it under your own purview, and that's fine. I'm not trying to interfere here, but I'm just, because what's the next request that's coming out of the food side of things, and will that be an additional offload by the province to our level? And that's when I see us move through some of these changes, and while we're doing wonderful things and it gets the right things done, whose job was that last week, I guess? And, I think it might have been the provinces. And they're coming in for 80. I heard the 22% and, all that. Just no response required, really.
Madam Chair, if I may, I do have to say something. It wouldn't be me, and Director Corey knows that. The reality is, look, we formed together, we came together, and we said, what are some of the areas that we want to work on? We've been trying everything from financial literacy for not-for-profits. I was talking to our junior coordinator the other day, Brett and I were, and we said, look, one of the greatest things that we can give in the region is the ability to write a good grant proposal for different groups, different everything, because then that gives them that opportunity to go out and seek to stand on their own. Within this, this was something that we looked at and we said, okay, how do we make a difference in the region and what does that look like? And we identified a need, we identified a direct impact that would benefit 12,000 bellies, if you will, a year for the marginalized, the economic challenged right now. And we know food prices are going up. We just look, no matter where you look on the news, one of the number one things you see every day, it isn't even really about inflation. It's about food inflation and how we're going to help people and how can we help people. If we lose out on pallets of food, we can't share that with the Fredericton Food Bank to distribute to the McAdam Food Bank or to the, how within that structure. And I'm not an expert on that structure. All I know is that when you look around and you see the area working together, and that's everybody. And as Director Forsyth said, what Greener Village had done was remarkable, really, really remarkable. But we have a group that works with all the food banks as well and helps support them, helps transport food, helps pick up food, helps deliver food. And that we're able to take that and parlay that with some freezer space and refrigeration space to help to ramp up to at least, another 12,000 meals a year in the region. And that's not unimportant when we look at the greater scheme of things. And I think, this is an opportunity that I think we should embrace. We won't be able to do this for everyone. It all depends on where we are and when we're at it. But through good, solid fiscal management, leveraging of funds, and being able to help, I think we've been able to do something significant, and that's why we did it. And I know I might get my fingers wrapped after the meeting by a few, and I'm okay with that because I do believe in this project, and I hope you do too.
For sure.
Okay, I just, how many communities have food banks was the first question, and then do I need one to get services from the Oromocton Area Food Bank? Like, I guess, is it better to have a small food bank in your community? That's sort of the.
You can't do it.
I'm just asking.
I don't believe we have any authority or over where it's all developed, managed, coordinated by the province and established divisions, and the money's distributed and everything by someone else.
We used to have a food bank in our area, and we closed down and went to Oromocton like probably 3 or 4 years ago now.
Not that far ahead.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, because I had community members asking whether we should have one, but maybe we've already got one and we just need to make use of it, I guess.
Or have another space that they can deliver to.
Well, that's what I was thinking, like an old, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be like a food bank center there.
Hmm.
And like they would take the food and you could drop it off to a center that you guys could.
Well, the question is, how do you go about getting a center if they want us needed? It's the same as most community centers now are doing fresh baskets of vegetables and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Director Powell.
Yes, and in the town of Ormocto, we subsidize, well, not subsidize, but we give them a grant every year too, between $15,000 and $27 to the food bank, which it's not a Ormocto food bank, it's the area.
Right.
And most people are from outside the area, so I just wanted to put that in there too.
Okay, thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Director Morrison, and Director Sharp's point. What we'll certainly do is invite Jane in to have that conversation. And if we need the other leaders of the different larger food banks. But my understanding is that the cooperation, and I know Director Forsyth works in this world in one of his many volunteer pieces, but and so does Director Powell, but there's an opportunity there to bring them in and have that conversation so that we understand the layout of the land. That might either be through the Community Development Committee or through even a presentation to the board on an evening in probably early in February.
So in that, I think it's important that you get that information on the table fairly quickly, because we're making assumptions around here that are not correct.
Mhm.
They deliver, every person has to be approved
Yes.
to do services. And there's a fairly rigorous piece built into that. There's emergency that can be used as well, but and the way the services are delivered, for example, all of the families that receive that are regulars in the Harvey rural community have delivery. And they deliver once a month or twice a month in some extreme cases. So it's not just like saying, come down and drop some food off for us and we'll spread it around.
No.
It's way beyond that in terms of
No, but
their development.
Very sophisticated.
And the way they do
but
it.
they have clients that you could have a drop off. They have their clients and they have a client list that they could go down.
They'll take it right to the house.
Well, and they do.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, Director Fox, do you have any comments or questions?
No, thank you. No.
Didn't want to leave you out. So no further questions? So we are going to move on. Okay, I need a motion to go into closed session. Second by,
Dave Sweeney.
okay, we're into closed session and Director Tim Fox